Now, the Three Martini Lunch with Greg Corombos and Jim Garrity.
And I am Rich McFadden in for Greg Corombos, who is out this week. So I get the pleasure of sitting along with Jim all week long and looking at some of the martinis that we have in store for you. And today, Tuesday, the day after Labor Day, is no exception. So we got some doozies here for you with our, as usual, the good, the bad, and then the just plain crazy martini. And we had a little bit of an issue trying to figure out which crazy martini we were going to go to today. So it was either, does your pet have dementia because you're fat and lazy? Or should ISIS ban burqas? So you'll have to hang out to see which one we actually went with here. We're going to start off with the good news, and depending on who you are, we got an actual race here, Jim. It looks like. I was
going to say my attitude is, look, I'm some of our listeners like Trump and have jumped on the bandwagon. Some have not. I think any way you want to split it up, it's good to have a competitive race because I don't know about you, I can't stand another 2 months of Hillary's running away with this.
Yes.
It's good for her to have to earn it. The smug liberal gloating would be insufferable. And even if you're never Trump like me, it's just kind of fun to watch Democrats panic.
Well, and if you saw yesterday, Hillary is dying on stage because she had the 5-minute coughing fit. She might not make it all the way.
Yeah, it's maybe she was choking on an early report of these numbers or something like that. But people rarely say, "Oh, shocking poll results." No, these are genuinely shocking poll results. I think what's most significant about it, because the previous CNN poll had her up by 8. Now it's got Trump up by 2.
Wow.
But what's really significant is that her number didn't really move that much. She went from 45 to 43. Kind of within the margin of error, considering the bad news cycle she's had with the FBI report. It wouldn't be surprising if her numbers went down a little bit. But Trump went up. And note, this is in a 4-way race, including Gary Johnson and Jill Stein. And so, probably the theory that seems to make sense to me is that the more people hear about how dishonest Hillary Clinton is, the more it looks like she committed a crime, the more it looked like she was lying to the FBI the whole time, the FBI just decided not to prosecute. The more it gets a reluctant Republican who's not really enamored with Donald Trump to say, you know what, I can't stand it. I got to vote for the guy.
And that's me. It's exactly where I am. You just cannot see her sitting in that chair and lying to us for 4 to 8 years the way she has for the last 30.
Yeah. We will see if this continues. We'll see. Maybe this is an outlier poll, but I think it really was a genuine. You can still feel the aftershock. It changes the way the campaign gets covered when the media thinks it's got a competitive race, or even, possibly a Trump advantage here.
But there's still 30,000 emails that they're going through, and there's going to be stuff trickling out all the way through and past the election. So this is going to be a daily grind for her.
I would think so. So you know what she needs? The only recommendation I can give her, Rich, is more cough lozenges.
That was not pretty. And just as a side note on that story, I sat there and watched it, and I wondered 2 things. Why didn't she take the microphone away from her mouth when she was hacking into it? And 2, why didn't she just walk off the stage for a minute and get straight and then come back? And then I realized if she walks off the stage, everybody's the black helicopters are going to say she's dying. She had to go get a EpiPen shot or something like that. Yeah. And so she couldn't do it. So she had to sit there.
The way one story feeds into the other. Now, Rich, we watch Hillary Clinton every day. She seems to be okay. She's doing these events, but she has this cough that sometimes kicks in and really seems really bad. Maybe she's just got a sore throat from talking so much. But based on everything we learned from the FBI, I think if she was really sick, if she had some serious health ailment, we know in the past she's had blood clots. We know in the past she had the concussion. If she had a serious ailment, she would never tell us. No one around her would ever tell us. True. It would never get leaked to the press. She does not operate as if the public has a much right to know much of anything. So I think that
it's
she
all
kind
about
of feeds these things, and there's limited information that's come out about her health. When she has something like this, people are just going to buy into this notion that there's some part of the story they're not being told.
All right, so there's our good martini of the day. We actually got a foot race here. The bad martini of the day, and this is a bad martini, but there's all kinds of ramifications and all kinds of perspectives on this one. Chicago hitting their 500th homicide of the year. You heard me right. 500 people have been killed in the city of Chicago this year. Maybe they should ban guns. Oh, wait, sorry.
And one of the things that kind of just jumps out here is that besides the fact, look, we're only 2/3 the way through the year, right? I mean, we know that number is going up, and by the end, this is probably another record-setting year for Chicago. It's one of the standard arguments after there's a mass shooting and you see people promoting gun control. People say, wait a minute, why do you get upset about this incident over here, but you don't care that every weekend you're seeing, sometimes it's, single digits, sometimes it's double digits. There's a steady pace of gun homicides in the city of Chicago, and every once in a while the media will give it a certain amount of attention. I know the New York Times actually did a fairly solid, like 4 or 5 page major in-depth report that mentioned Mayor Rahm Emanuel once. But it's one of those things where, like sometimes it does break into the national news, and it does start influencing our discussion of gun crime and whether the law enforcement really is doing everything it could, and whether there's being enough prosecution of people who commit gun crimes. Having said that, it's like, you get something like this, people say, oh, 500 dead. Oh, it's terrible. Okay, on to the next story.
Right.
And what's it going to take for people to kind of look at this and say, wait a minute, there's something really deeply troubled, not just in a lot of America's inner cities, but Chicago stands out as the worst. I mean, this is way worse than DC, worse than New York, worse than LA. And people ask, people kind of, folks, what is going on there? What can be done about this? And my suspicion is we'll move on to a next story before any real action takes place.
And it's Chicago's an outlier. There is something specific to that city that is creating this situation, and it's hard for me to believe that somebody has not looked at it and gone, I have a lot of people accusing the accusations. The left will say guns, the right will say it's the lack of government, So what is there about this city that stands out that people just aren't seeing? Where's the Black Lives Matter movement too? I mean, this has got to be something that they should be in there going, listen, something's terribly wrong here, and we need help. Please look at this city.
Spike Lee did a whole movie about this about a year ago, or maybe 6 months ago, and it did not make a big splash. And I'm kind of struck by whether people feel like, we've heard that story a million times. It's the same old problem. Whether we've kind of reached a point of moral exhaustion regarding gun violence in a city like Chicago. But it really is terrible. And I have this sneaking suspicion that this milestone will be a one-day story, and by the end of the year, God forbid, could be 700, could be 800, could be another awful number. And most of the country will just kind of go on and continue having the same old predictable debates.
I mean, as it's getting colder, the numbers will drop a little bit because summer brings a little bit more of this crazy activity. So, but still, it's horrible. So speaking of crazy, that brings us back to our last martini of the day, the crazy martini. And we had 2 to choose from, like I told you. Is your pet getting dementia because you are fat and lazy and won't get off the couch? But no, we decided to go with ISIS is banning the burqa for security reasons.
I'm glad we're not merging them and saying that ISIS is making your pet wear the burqa. No. So in a way, this we could use this as our good martini, in that.
True.
So in light of security threats aimed at Islamic State commanders, the terror group has banned the full face cover in sensitive areas of Mosul, Iraq. And I don't know about you, I seem to remember some film that was based on the 9/11 attacks, and they show the guys getting ready to mobilize to be the first guys into Afghanistan, and somebody said, how are we going to get in there? And he says, it's going to be a drag. And of course, the next scene is them in burqas sneaking across the border. I don't know if that's a genuine story, but you would figure, if you wanted to send in an assassin into Taliban country or ISIS country, that would probably be a pretty easy disguise.
And let me tell you something. These ISIS leaders are looking over their shoulders these past couple of weeks because every one of them is getting picked off, and this is a prime target in this.
Easy to hide a weapon under those heavy cloaks and all that kind of stuff. So you look at that and you're sitting thinking, all of a sudden it appears ISIS may have a newfound appreciation for the French bikini. This is very hard to hide weapons that way. So kind of a little bit of great, bizarre irony. I guess the French can kind of, take a bow and say, let's see.
And they've got themselves a little bit of a dilemma Because,
everybody gets their fashion ideas from France.
well, they've got the morality police that are going around town and beating and even killing women who aren't covered up. And now they're telling them, oh, no, you got to be covered up. You can't be covered up because now we're worried you're going to take out one of our number ones. What are they going to do?
If it wasn't unbelievably sad, it would almost become, wear the burqa, take off the burqa, make up your mind.
All right, there it is. We got a foot race, Chicago's murder rate, and no more burqas in ISIS land. Until tomorrow, I am Rich McFadden with the Radio America Network, and he is Jim Garrity with National Review and National Review Online. So check it out there every single day. And until tomorrow, Jim, have an excellent afternoon.
Thanks, Rich. Take care.